Yeah. All kings on the throne.
It's all of us. You are not alone. It's a brotherhood.
What do you define as a brother?
When we're down, we help lift up each other.
Camaraderie is rare like no other.
Real men raising the wind makes us tougher.
Together, the brotherhood.
The brotherhood.
HS Brotherhood. Welcome back to the Brotherhood Podcast, episode 2. And today, we're going to talk about Parish story. That's what we're talking about today in episode 2. So I'm going to give y'all, a little bit more details about my story and how I came about with my HS. You know what I'm saying, Joey?
Yeah, I'm excited to hear.
You excited to hear? Because I'm going to tell you some stuff.
I want to hear all the details, man. I felt like I got bits and pieces of your story, but now we're getting into the nitty gritty, and I'm looking forward to hear an inspirational journey.
Inspirational journey?
Yes, sir.
All right, bro. All right. Well, shoot, man. For real?
Yes, sir.
It started really when I was mad little.
Okay.
Like, I can remember, I was 7 years old.
7? Wow.
Having boils. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know too much, but I remember having boils.
Right. Where specifically, though, like on your body?
No, it's really armpits.
Okay.
Because when I turned 11 years old, that's when I remember having my first surgery.
At 11?
At 11.
Wow.
And I just remember my mother taking me to the hospital, and I'm coming home and having an armpit that it had to get packed. That's what I remember from when I was 11. And, during my childhood, I was good. Mm-hmm. I was just living my life. You know what I'm saying? A couple of boils every now and again. And what I do remember is my mother always doing hot soaps every time I got an abscess. Hot soaps. That was the remedy that we would use all the time.
What was that? Just a hot bath?
Yeah. No, she get the rag, throw the hot water on it.
Oh, the hot compress.
Yeah, the hot compress.
Like,
yeah, hot soaps.
So
Yeah.
My mother
My mom was calling them hot soaps. So I'm like,
cool.
All right, cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do the hot soaps. So that was really working.
Okay.
During that time, man. High school. When I got to high school, I remember having a big one on the back of my neck, right?
Okay.
And it always stayed there. It wasn't hurting. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like getting big. It stayed like a knot. During high school, I was like, cool. I still had a few armpit, abscesses, whatever. Cool. 2008, I was 18. And I remember during this time, I was getting a lot of abscesses on the back of my neck. And I was getting a lot on my armpit. But I really didn't, I didn't know what it was. I just remember getting abscesses. And back then, they was calling them boils. So I would just have a boil in and out. I would get my boils lanced. That's what I would usually do when I get one under my armpit. But I was in the hospital, and this doctor, his name was Dr. Jordan, ECMC in Buffalo. And I ain't gonna forget, when he seen the ones on the back of my neck, he would always say, "Oh, I could just take it right out. We could do surgery. No problem."
Right.
I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? So he would do surgery on my neck, take it out. And I don't know what the procedure was called, I forgot, but every time it would heal, it would come back.
Yeah.
I kept getting reoccurring abscesses on the back of my neck. So when I say maybe the third time I came back to him, and he had no problem just cutting it. Like, cut it open and I go. And I'm like, yo, what's going on?
So that would happen right there on the spot. Like, you would go in.
Well, not technically on the spot.
Yeah.
But he would set me up for a date to come back and get lanced or whatever. Get the lance where they just chop it.
Right.
But he'd numb it up with the numb stuff.
Okay.
So when I had came back that third time, it was a UB student in there, just like this college student. They teaching them how to be doctors and stuff.
Like an understudy.
Yeah, understudy dude.
Yeah, gotcha.
And when he was looking at my papers and stuff, I'm talking to him like, yeah, man, I keep getting these abscesses on the back of my neck. And he's a young guy, so he's like, this is interesting. You ever had a CAT scan before? And I was like, no, I never had a CAT scan.
Yeah.
So he was like, no, we need to do a CAT scan on the back of your neck because you keep getting, all these abscesses keep reoccurring. And he was like, all right, let's do it. So I don't know nothing about it. I never had one before. Mm-hmm. So I get the CAT scan. He come back and he told me, yo, you got a lot of abscesses behind, in the back of your neck that's ready to emerge. We got to take all of those out. And I'm like, all of them? He was like, yeah, you don't want them to grow back. So I was like, okay. And then he was like, this is the case of Hidradenitis Suppurativa.
So the understudy
diagnosed
you.
Yes.
Through a CAT scan.
Through a CAT scan.
That's crazy, bro. I never heard that.
Yeah,
like,
yo, and then that's
the first warriors to say like they was diagnosed by like basically a medical student, and he knew that you were living with HS through the CAT scan, like.
Yeah, and it was crazy hearing that from him, because it's like you kind of know what it is, and you telling me, and I haven't heard it from the surgeon that kept cutting me open, and all those times I went to the ER. You know what I'm saying? They didn't say that. And so for that guy to, take that time to give me a CAT scan and it see something, and he told the surgeon, so he like, we gonna take them all out. And I was like, okay, if we gotta do this, let's do it. So he really took out the whole back of my neck. I even got pictures.
In one surgery sit-in?
One surgery, bro.
Oh,
I had a gaping hole. I got the scar on the back of my neck. It's my whole back. Like, and I remember my sister, I had to pack it with a ball of like gauzes, whole bunch, like this big. Boom, I had to pack it so it was healing from the inside out. So that time I was young though, so my body was like, I was still moving around, and in the back of my neck, I wasn't not mobile, you know what I'm saying? I could still move around. As long as I got it covered, I'm good. So I was good with that. I go through my life, I'm living out my 20s, cool, fine. I say about maybe 4 or 5 years later, it started really getting bad on my armpits and stuff. And I start calling off of work a lot because I was working at a fast food spot. So I'm calling off of work, getting all these abscesses, and I'm like, it's going crazy. So I ended up getting fired from my job that I was at. Wow. You know what I'm saying? I was there from when I was like 17. I'm about 23 now. So I'm living my life. Got a car, got a house, you know what I'm saying? I'm just working, but life started getting tough for me, bro. I couldn't work, I wasn't making the money. So basically, with all that happening at once, how I'm gonna make money? You know what I'm saying? And at that time, I didn't want to ask for help.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And, I had a little bit of money that I had saved, but I'm like, I can't last, on this not working, but I had to stop working. And talking to some people back then, get on disability. And I'm thinking it's easy. Right. Get on disability, you know what I'm saying? Heal up, go back to work. Cool, so I tried to apply for disability. I filled out the application. Now, this is 2013 when I did this. Boom, so they said, you cannot work while you are waiting to get accepted. Okay, I'm not working anyway. I'm healing with all these abscesses, no problem. So I was out for maybe, let's say about a year. And it started getting real where you know what I'm saying? I need to get back to work. You know what I'm saying? So I told myself, I'm going to go back to work because I need money. Knowing I'm not supposed to go because they told me you're not supposed to work. Right. Okay, cool. I don't care. I need money. So fast forward, I had my hearing where I had to go to the judge and, basically explain why I need to be on disability.
To approve you for disability.
Yeah, so I didn't really know nothing about it. I'm walking in like a courtroom or something. I'm like, all right. Gotta, do this, boom, boom. So he asked me some questions. And one thing that stood out was, I see that you went back to work. How are you applying for disability, if you went back to work? Because I needed money. I was being honest with him. Like, I needed money. Like, I can't just not be working. But he said, you're disabled. It doesn't make sense. So basically, I got denied. And after waiting all that time to get denied, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn. So at that time, I was like, I'm not going to be able to be on disability. So I kind of started managing it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And
how long you were out of work for before you went to go apply for disability?
I say about 8 months to a year. 8 months to a year I was out.
So you were out of work for 8 months to a year, went before a judge to try to seek disability for your condition, and was still denied.
So I waited that long time,
Got you.
I'm not supposed to.
Right.
But I should have never went back to work, because I learned now, if you say you're disabled, you're disabled. And back then, a 23-year-old, why are you disabled? You're young, you know what I'm saying? Right. Most of the, older people is on disability. So I had to deal with that, fighting, being young, trying to get it. And back then, HS really wasn't considered a disability. So people was getting it, but you really didn't know. I heard a couple of people that got it, but So I said, forget it, I'm gonna just go work and deal with it. So I'm working. Now, at that time, I started doing security.
Okay.
So I'm working with security. I'm moving around. My body's fine. I can manage it because I kind of know. And I had a surgeon. I met a surgeon during my mid-20s, Molly Moore, and I decided to take the surgery route because I was always going to the ER getting lances, and when it would come and go, I realized my abscesses would come and go. So when I found Molly Moore, she said, "Oh, I could take, whatever." Basically, she said I could take whatever abscess out that you want. Like, she was like a Dr. Pimple Popper to me, and I could go there, get procedures done, and go about my business. Okay. Like, I was locked in with her. And I was managing, I was fine, bro. You know what I'm saying? She would take out the pocket, because it was a couple of times I had a procedure done on one of my lenses. She was like, they didn't take out like the pocket or something. So when she would do my arms, my neck, I'm good. Mm-hmm. Cool. Rocking with her. Mid-20s. Going through, rest of my life, I'm working, doing what I'm doing. I say, after security, when I started bouncing, I was like 26, 27, that's when I started bouncing. And when I got into that life, with HS, it was real tough because times where I would get surgery and stuff, you got to be ready for it. You know, when something pop off, you got to be ready. And if you're not, you're going to get not even embarrassed. You're not doing your job. Why are you in security if you're not ready if something happened? So me doing that, I was risking, myself being messed up, getting messed up if I get into a confrontation or encounter with somebody.
Right.
So,
because bouncing and security are kind of two different things.
Oh, yeah.
I do security now, and but when you're a bouncer, like you said, you have to get physical.
Yeah.
So to put yourself in a position like that, just to earn an income and make yourself even way worse, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, bro. And then I had to take myself out of doing bouncing. Yeah. Like, I was liking that money every week and getting paid every weekend, bro. That was like my regular money. And my regular security job, I was doing Buffalo News, so it was a sit-down joint. So I'm doing that, and then on weekends, I'm getting the weekend money. You know what I mean? But then after a while, my body was just like, yo, something going on, right? So I say, towards the end of my late 20s, I kind of was like, yo, I gotta stop. I can't do this. You know what I'm saying? I gotta chill. I gotta focus on my body and see what's going on. So I just stopped, and I still had a little bit of cash, and I was getting help from my family and friends at this time. So after I stopped working at the security joint, the bouncing, this when I was staying with my brother, and my cash started getting real low, real low, you know what I'm saying? Real low to where I was like, yo, I don't know how I'm gonna live. And being a man, when I was staying with my brother, I still was independent. I still had my car. I was just living with him, you know what I'm saying? And not working, I gotta pay insurance. I'm not asking nobody to pay my insurance, you know what I'm saying? That man stuff, I'm not gonna ask you to try to keep my car. So car problems started happening. So I'm like, yo, I had to give up my car. I can't pay it, you know what I'm saying? I gotta be smart, you know what I'm saying? So I'm slowly losing everything, you know what I mean? And during that time, while I'm losing everything, my body is going through craziness, right? So
the flares were probably off the charts at this point, right?
Yeah, they go off the charts, but I still gotta work.
Right.
So I say 28, 29, I started doing my the meat factory job.
Okay.
I started working there in my late 20s. And I'm working there, bro. Now, I'm working while still having abscesses, covering them, going to work. You know what I'm saying? Days where, my arms can't move, I still do it because I got a job and they paying me. And at that job, I was doing everything. Mm-hmm. But after a while, I say about a couple years later, it started getting so bad, it made it to my groin area and my buttocks area. And I remember going into work, and when it would bleed so much or drain so much, I would have to leave the line to go in the bathroom, and I see the drainage going. Hold on. Just pause for a second. We're going to take a quick break and hear a quick word from our sponsors.
HS Connect, we want to take a moment to extend our heartfelt thanks to Moonlake Immunotherapeutics, our incredible sponsor for Season 1 of the Brotherhood podcast. Moonlake is a clinical stage company leveraging revolutionary nanobody technology to develop next-level medicines for immunologic diseases. For more information on Moonlake, visit moonlaketx.com.
Wild. And and during that time where the drainage was going crazy, where I went in the bathroom, where I kept having to leave the line, my butt was draining so bad, bro. Like, I didn't understand, like, it wasn't just a bump, bro. It was like the whole cheek, fam. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, let me just cover it and, keep it clean to see, if it'll go away. Slowly but surely, my cheeks started getting bad. Like, and I would see it in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I would do. I would look at it like this, and I would squeeze, and I'd see different spots on my butt from the top to the bottom just leaking. I'm like, yo, this is not right. So I guess that was like sinus tracts and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, I can't sit on my butt. You know what I'm saying? Standing, moving, it was just wild. You know what I mean? And my job, they was asking me, yo, what's going on, Parish? What you got to do? Blah blah blah. When are you coming back to work?
Right.
So I was always trying to force myself to go back because I needed the money, and I basically was the guy there that they needed, because when I'm not there, it's like they suffering. So I hated being in that position, being a guy that when they need you and you can't come through, you know what I'm saying? Just everything get messed up. So eventually I ended up deciding to get surgery on my butt. Now in Buffalo, it was hard to find a buttock surgeon, a surgeon to do, surgery on my butt. But I finally found this one guy. He was a young doctor too. Slick back here. He thought he was smooth. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, he thought
he was Fonzie.
Bro, he thought he was Fonzie, man. And he coming smiling. And I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? All right, bro, you know about buttocks and stuff. So he's telling me like, yeah, I could, cut this out. I'm gonna put a draining tube in you, in your buttocks area, and it's gonna drain everything. I don't want to take it all out, and it's possible it can grow back. Let me just put the draining tube. Okay, you the butt doctor, cool.
Right.
So he put 2 draining tubes in my butt. He did not take nothing out. He just did draining tubes. So I remember having a draining tube there. My butt draining. Yeah, it's draining because the pus is not collecting in my butt to make my butt swell up. You know what I'm saying? It was so tough having that because at the same time my butt was healing, but my cheeks rubbing together with the 2 draining tubes, messing up my cheeks. You know what I'm saying? It's hurting now. So I'm like, when is he gonna take this out? So I'm going to him, how long do I gotta have this in? Because I gotta get back to work.
Yeah.
It's getting real. I don't know. So you have no way to tell me, no date, no type of time frame. You know what I'm saying? And when he told me that, that's when I noticed it's hard to pinpoint how long your surgery or abscess will take to heal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't know if it could be 2 days, it could be 6 months. Sometimes you have wounds that just stay open for years, won't close. You know what I'm saying? You could try all different medicines. So I was going through that, and I'm like, you don't know? So him telling me he don't know, and my job keep asking. I just straight up had to tell my job I don't know, and I ended up getting fired from that, right? So that was like 2020. Now 2020, pandemic happened at the same time. My butt started going crazy again. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
My bad.
You good?
The draining tubes, I took them out my damn self.
You took them out on your own?
Yeah. No lie, bro.
What?
I took them out myself because that surgeon, he was shitty, bro. When I would try to go back to him for follow-ups, like, yo, my butt is like swelling up. It's like still draining crazy. Like, what's up? Oh, it's just sinus tracts. That's what he would tell me. And then I'm like, he act like he don't care about me. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm sitting here like, bro, my life is like just in shambles right now. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get my life back together. And I'm coming to you asking questions and you acting like you really don't care. Like you just literally chop my cheeks up. Now I got more problems, more sinus tracts. And I come back to you and you just, oh yeah, just sinus tracts. Yo. So I just ended up taking them out by myself because my cheeks kind of healed. But it was just basically the tube hanging from my cheek. Yeah. So I took that out. My cheeks got so bad, bro. I had to figure out why my body was tripping. Now, of course I was getting abscesses on my face, my head, my body was going crazy. Face, armpit, waistline, groin, butt, draining, bleeding, all that.
Oozing, smelling,
itching, all that, you know what I'm saying? Everything. And it was just, yo, how do I control this?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the only thing that I knew was surgeries. That's what I knew, because at the time, you know what I'm saying, I'm not thinking about, biologics or any other medications or any other method, because in the past I done took all the other antibiotics, Bactrim.
Right.
That's the one that they always threw at me.
Okay.
My body, I think it got used to Bactrim, that when I would take it, it didn't do anything. Like, pus would still come out green, you know what I'm saying?
So
and that
your body builds up immunity to the medication.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, so I wasn't about to be on antibiotics anymore. I didn't want to. So,
Yep.
Oh.
Yep, we hit our mark. That's right. On the sirens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But did we hit our mark?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Same timing, so I was just letting it pass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going,
Yeah.
bro.
Okay.
You're doing a good
You're
job.
doing
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Yeah.
You got all the time you want. It's just you can wrap up.
Okay.
whenever
Okay.
you
I'm gonna
want.
wrap up. All right, Joe. So we on the cheeks, it's bleeding everywhere. It's crazy. It's going wild.
Right.
And
So at this point in your life, like, what do you say is your most problematic area when it comes to your HS? Is it like going crazy everywhere where you have HS, or like
everywhere?
Okay.
Everywhere.
Wow.
At this time, it was everywhere, man, and it was draining and bleeding to the point where I never seen it bleed and drain at the same time like this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I gotta try something. So at this time, I got fired. I got fired, right? So when they fired me, get on unemployment. So I'm on unemployment at that time. Right. But then I'm like, wait, you know what I'm saying? All right, cool. So I started staying at a hotel, right? Because I wanted to still be, back on my own. I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I can still be good. Let me get away from my bro house, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Get this bread. So I'm at the hotel. Now, when I was at the hotel, I was by myself.
Right.
Real lonely, real depressed, going through this stuff, bleeding, all of this, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want nobody to see it, man, because I was in such a bad state, you know what I mean? So, I'm at the hotel, bro, and I remember, like, laying in the bed, having to call the ambulance because I couldn't move. I remember bleeding so bad, bro. I ain't gonna forget. Every time I would cough, I had, like, holes in my armpit and my butt. Sheets white. Bro, I remember coughing. Every time I go, mad blood come out. If I would go, mad blood starts squirting out my armpit. And then I realized my butt kept getting wet. Yo, it was so much blood was leaking. It looked like a dead body. There's so much blood on there, right, dude? Because I was laying down and I didn't want to move. Mm-hmm. So I had to call the front people. Yo, gotta get the ambulance. Felt so embarrassed, yo. Had to get carried up out of there. I was bleeding so much. I didn't know what was going on. What was wrong with my body, man? Wow. Like, I couldn't move. And I don't know if the infection was bad. I don't know what was going on, yo. That shit, the bleeding was something like, it just can make you bleed like this. Like, I lost so much blood, man. Go to the hospital. Had to get blood transfusions. Because I lost so much blood. Non-stop leakage. And I realized that was so bad. My heart, I was having the beat skips. Yeah. So they had to watch my heart and stuff. So it was so much happening, bro. And when I was there, I was like, I can't, you know what I'm saying? I had to get surgery. You gotta take these cheeks out. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. You gotta take the cheeks out.
Yeah.
I want to get the cheeks out, but then I'm thinking in my head, I remember having surgery on my cheeks before, and I ended up like this. So I don't know if I want to, so I applied for disability, and I applied for disability again. Mm-hmm. Now, this time it was way different from back then in 2013.
Now you got more proof of medical records of, like, getting fired and terminated and getting rushed to the ER and blood transfusions. All that. Yeah. And I seen my track record. I didn't know I was building my track record on paper, but me always going back to the doctor, going to the ER, the bleeding, the doctor notes, and all of this, you know what I'm saying? All of that coming into play, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, this is real, you know?
So I remember having to find an infectious doctor because I had to like try to see what was going on with infections and stuff. But that's a lot of things that when they would do wound cultures on my wounds, they would say, "Oh, it's infected with this or bacterial." What's the one? The one with the boo boo. You know the boo boo. It's called bacteria, not bacteria infection. I forgot the name, man. But he was confused. They didn't know which infection it was because it's in my butt. You don't know if it's from the abscess or the fecal matter or some shit like that. One of them joints. Right. Yeah, so I'm dealing with infections all the time, and you having open wounds in your cheeks while you trying to use the bathroom.
Right.
It's rough. So when I apply for disability, I'm like, I got it everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I can't work. I'm not mobile. You know what I mean? I'm getting picked up. You know what I mean? In the hospital and all that. And when I applied, bro, when I say I had a lawyer this time though, I had a lawyer because a lot of people kept saying they go take their money anyway. You know what I'm saying? You will have a better chance with that. All right, cool. I had a lawyer, had my proof. I got accepted in like a month, bro. I got accepted quick.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? To be disabled, and then I'm like 30 right now. So it's like, all right, I'm still kind of young. You know what I'm saying? Like 30-year-olds don't be on disability. So I'm doing that. I'm like, y'all accepted me so fast because it was in my cheeks, it was on my face, it was on my head.
Right.
It was everywhere, and you could visibly see it. Like it was no hiding. So when the disability doctor seen that, he was like, "Oh, easy." So I got that, and after that, you know what I'm saying, I started living the life of not working, being a disabled man, limited income. You only get a certain amount you get, so I wasn't used to living on that. So I had to really change my mindset on how to live with this type of income in this lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't moving. You know what I mean? That shit was real rough. And my money started getting low when I was at the hotel. Mm-hmm. You know, I was still trying to stay there while I was, healing up. And my brother had came to me because I knew I was running like low. I knew I couldn't stay. I was gonna have to stay with somebody. And a lot of things was happening during, 2022. You know what I'm saying? Like 21, 22. It was a lot with my family, a lot with my mom. Mm-hmm. It was so much stuff happening, bro. My body, my mom, all of this happening. I was just losing it. You know what I'm saying? Like brain-wise.
And the stress is definitely a trigger for your HS. So imagine everything you're going through physically, emotionally. Mm-hmm. So your HS is just going crazy.
And now since you said that, I'm thinking I didn't process all of that that time because I'm still trying to get back right. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to help take care of my mom. Can't do that because I can't move. If I can't move, I can't help nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was really messing with me. The stress of that, the stress of thinking how I'm going to work, the stress of being on disability, the stress about so many other things that it was really fucking with my head. You know what I mean? And then having to drop everything to be taken care of. I would have to be taken care of, bro, because I couldn't walk. I couldn't even wash myself sometime, bro. It was a time, my nigga, my best friend had to pick me up to take me to the shower. I couldn't even get up off the toilet, bro. That's how bad that shit was, yo. I couldn't get up off the toilet, bro. I had to pick me up. I didn't want to see me naked. Hey, it was so bad I couldn't move, bro. I didn't care about him seeing me like that. But then, that shit, having your best friend seeing you bleed, you know what I'm saying? The HS get that bad that he like, yo, I didn't know that it could get like this.
Yeah,
you know,
you at your most vulnerable. That's what it sounds like. You were at like one of your most vulnerable moments at that point in your life. That's real, man.
Yeah, and not knowing that it's the most vulnerable, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't realize, the effect that it was having on my family and friends.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they was hurt seeing me like that. They never seen me. So, I go stay with my other brother. He's like, come on in, Parish. And me, for him to say, come on and stay with me, that was what I needed because when you need to heal, you need peace. You need an environment that's cool. Mm-hmm. Because when I was, stressing and going through all that, there was so many things happening, man. The environment I was in, the people that was around, that arguing, my family, all of that, I needed to be around peace. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, you good. I got a spot for you. Got a room for you. You good. Heal. You ain't got to worry about nothing. Heal, bro. You ain't got to worry. I ain't got to worry about eating. He got me. I never had nobody say that to me. especially while the HS was like really fucking me up because people always still wanted something from me. So having somebody do that was a real game changer. Come and heal. So me going to stay with my bro, I started healing up, man. I started getting better because he let me heal. You know what I mean? And I wasn't around like the toxic females. I wasn't around the bros trying to tell you, oh, ain't nothing wrong with you.
Toxic environment.
Yeah, toxic. I'm around somebody that said, no, I'll bring your food down for you, man. Don't move. Lay down and heal, man. You know what I mean?
A true caregiver. That's what it sounds like to me. Like a brother, a true brother, a true caregiver.
Yeah. So he was like
a strong person in your support system. Yeah.
And he was like, him, my sister, and my other bro was the 3 people that was my support system during this whole time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for them, bro, I don't know where I would be. I don't know if I'd still be here because HS got that bad, yo. That if they didn't show the love to really help me, how HS was, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Sheesh.
It's real. So I felt like they seen that stuff.
Right.
And it was times where I was in the hospital. I don't know if they ever asked you this, but did they ever ask you suicidal? You ever thought about having thoughts like that? They said that to you?
Oh, yeah.
Was you ever being honest with them, or did you always say no?
I mean, for me to say, like, did I ever feel like unaliving myself?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I would say no. But did I think about how my life would be if I wasn't around? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm with you on that. But I remember at this time, when like this like moment when she asked me again, because I would always say no and they'd just go about, you know what I'm saying? But then I really was having them thoughts, you know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't act on it, but I really was having them. You know what I mean? And then now I'm being more comfortable with me just talking, being honest about what's going on in my head, because my head was messed up. You know what I'm saying? So when they asked me, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I do. They're like, I think about it sometimes, but it was just me saying, yeah, I do. Man, they had me on suicide watch and shit. They thought I really was going to do it. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to do it. I'm just telling you I had thoughts.
Right.
But I see how real that is. Like, people, you know what I'm saying? So that, having those thoughts and things and seeing, like, what happens after you tell somebody that, you shouldn't just say it just to say it, you know what I'm saying? So.
But you make a great point, because there's many warriors out in the world that do feel like that and do really mean that, because, like, your story exemplifies a lot of things. One thing, most importantly, it exemplifies how important it is for the world to know that HS is so much more than a skin disease.
Yeah.
It impacts every aspect of your life, especially your mental well-being. You know what I'm saying? So, like, even though you may felt like, from my perspective, even though it may felt like you just said it just to be like, yeah, I had those thoughts, but would I really act upon it? Negative. There are warriors out there that do feel like that. And unfortunately, there are people that do fall victim to, that undeniable. I'm just trying to think about the best way to put it, that fall victim to that mindset. There we go.
Say it again. Like
Unfortunately, there are many warriors in the world that do fall victim to that mindset.
Right. You're right, bro. You're right. And then I could say, because I'm a strong-minded person, you know what I'm saying? And even at my worst, I would still try to be positive. I would still try to be happy. So, you know what I'm saying? I could say my brain really, you know what I mean, was a big part of me, not executing that. But I understand how other people can, and I want to let y'all know, if you're having those thoughts, talk to somebody about it, for real. Because it took for me to talk to somebody about it, So I'm saying, talk to somebody.
Just to echo what Parish is saying, like, confide in somebody who you love and you trust. It doesn't always have to go strictly to a therapist, even though I'm a huge advocate for mental well-being and therapy and stuff. But confide in somebody who you trust, that that won't betray your trust and, use that against you in your future, because you'll be surprised to find out, like, how much stress will relieve once you let that out. And you can't do that unless like, you can be truly vulnerable with this person and it's a safe space.
Word. Yeah, most definitely, man. Yeah, so, all of that was going on and everything. I was trying to really figure everything out. And you know, after my bro let me come heal, he let me just heal. That was helping me heal faster. And I really started figuring out how to manage my HS.
Okay.
You know, and I'm still on the journey of still, you know, we HS warriors, so it's still on the thing. So, you know what I mean? It's still gonna keep going on. I'm still figuring out what works for me. Either if it's food or, you know, biologic. I'm thinking about trying another biologic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want to try another one. So, I'm trying to weigh out the options. It's a lot more options now to help with treatments. Because I remember back then it wasn't these many options. I remember when Humira, I remember when the biologic had just got on the scene.
One of the first
one of the first ones. And I remember like, what is this?
Right.
And they was trying it on HS patients. And they was trying to use it on me. So nowadays, it's so many more things to try to help manage your HS. And so I'm happy that HS is in a place right now where we have more options to try to help us. And, you know, hey, that's what it is. And I'm here. The story still continues.
Yeah, so like I said in the beginning of this episode, like I was interested in hearing an inspirational story because you overcame so much adversity. And I want to salute you and say,
Thanks.
You know, I'm glad that you're here, man, because like if you would have fell victim to that way of thinking, like I would have never had a brother sitting right beside me.
Word, man.
You know, you're basically on the journey with me and I'm on the journey with you, so
you're on this
journey,
bro.
I'm glad you're here, bro. Real talk.
Man, real talk, man. I appreciate you, G, man.
Yeah, man, we locked in.
All day with it.
So, you want to wrap that up?
Oh, yeah, we wrap it up. Yo, all right, y'all. Yo, that's what it is. Episode 2. It was good talking with y'all about my story. Yeah. So, we gonna catch y'all in the next episode of the Brotherhood podcast, all right?
Tap in.
The Brotherhood.
Brotherhood out.